Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday night edition, Into the Night with me, your host, Sean Kelly. I'm going to thank UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi. I'm thanking them to give you, let me spend an hour with you on Tuesday nights and also on Sunday nights. So, how is everybody's doing today? Are you getting ready for Thanksgiving dinner? Did you thaw out your turkey like 6 days ago? I will tell you this, if you buy a frozen turkey tonight or tomorrow, it will not be thawed out. And what I recommend if you do is that you put it in the sink and you just soak it in water, lukewarm, cold water, lukewarm, overnight or until it starts thawing out. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Also, this is, like I say on my shows, this is CRPS Awareness Month, and three of my friends do have that. And what it is basically they're in a constant playing. Holly, thank you. Thank you. I am sounding better. Still got a little stuffiness up in there, my friend, but, we'll see. Stony, good to see you. All right, my girl, Stony. Yeah, I'm happy. It's going to be a great show tonight. Got good people in the chat room so far, and I don't know, not great. I mean, my people are awesome. That's what they are, awesome people. But just I'm tired of turkeys. Thank you. Love the hat. Thank you very much. Hey, Heidi. God bless you. Much love to you too. Um, Thank you. I like the hat. I figured I'd put it on. As you all can tell, I'm getting my Santa Claus look going on because Christmas is coming around the corner. And so I'm looking forward to that. In fact, I'm going to tell you a little quick story real quick. I remember about like 3 or 4 years ago, me and my brother were down at a restaurant eating dinner. And there was a kid who was handicapped. And he turned to his grandmother and said, "There's Santa Claus." No lie. And I just got off of work. I had my pea coat on. Michael Anthony, good to see you, sir. Thank you for coming in. I had my pea coat on, and we were sitting there eating dinner, and this kid kept looking at me and said, "Santa Claus, Santa Claus." And after they got up to eat, okay, you despise turkey too, yeah. I'm gonna have a hamburger, I think. Well, I'm gonna have. But this little kid thought I was Santa Claus, and the grandma came over to me and said, "He thinks you're Santa Claus." And so I played Santa Claus in the restaurant. So that kind of like touched my heart when I could do that for somebody. But I got a good show tonight. I got a good guest. Maxim, he's been on my show before, at least 4 or 5 times already, and he is an author. And his latest book that he has out is The Lost Tribe of Bigfoot. Now, this is going to be an interesting show because there are some chapters in his book that talk about the hoaxers of the Bigfoot community at the time, during the time of Bigfoot. And what's your thoughts? What's your feelings on that, hoaxers? I mean, I've dealt with a lot of them in the paranormal field, but to go out and spread the word that they have Bigfoot prints and all kinds of stuff. Max is going to get into it really, into it further. But I don't know. Hoaxers it's like a bad name for, whatever field you're in. And we're going to let Max talk about it. So without further ado, my friend, Maxim Furek. Good evening, Max.
Good evening,
Hey, Mr.
Sean.
Wojo.
Yeah,
How you doing, buddy?
great. Good to see you again, and thanks for having me on your show again. I thought you kicked me off the last time, so here I am.
Oh, I didn't mean to kick you off if I kicked you off.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Wojo, about the hat. Thanks, I like it myself. Yeah, but Tell us, Max, what's been going on, dude?
Well, I'll tell you, my seventh book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, has been out for less than 3 months. So it's been getting traction. We've been doing pretty good being on various paranormal podcasts and getting some reviews. So, I'm just excited. I wanted to tell the story about Sasquatch in a different way through different eyes. And, there's so much diversity in this field, in this genre. So I just wanted to go and, present my take on it. So, I think it's a great book. I think it's my best book, but that's The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. And there's a picture of me as a rock journalist. I'm a former rock journalist, but I do want to show you, Sean, one thing that's I'm excited about in this book, and that's what Hanger One calls IBT. This is immersive book technology. And if you take a look at it, there's a barcodes throughout the book, and you just take your phone's camera, and you hit that, and there'll be a video of me doing a synopsis of the chapter. So this
Oh,
is
really?
pretty much cutting edge technology. Yeah, IBT, immersive book technology. So it works, and I just love it. And I just think that this is probably the beginning of new technology, or repurposing old technology in a new way. So I'm just
Right.
glad to be on that cutting edge,
Well, I'm glad you are too, dude. Man, everybody out there who's listening to all the 200 different countries and all my people here in the chat room. Honest to God, Max got some good books out, and he's a good dude, man. So check out his all the books he has written. But what I want to get into tonight is, but before we get into the hoaxsters, right? What I want to know, can you tell people what a rock journalist is?
Yeah. Well, in all of my bios, I always talk about, I'm a former psychologist slash rock journalist. So I was a psychologist. I ran a drug and alcohol program, so that
Hmm.
was my bread and butter. But I always had a real passionate love and affinity for rock and roll. So I've written numerous books and articles about rock and roll. And I would sort of look at rock through a sociological lens. And, I know that out in your way, you had groups like the Iron City House Rockers. You had Norm
Yep.
Nardini and the Tigers. You had, don't tell me, Donnie Iris.
Yep.
And, you had some really, the Skyliners, Since I Don't Have You. I think the
Hmm.
Duprees, I believe, were from out there. So, you had some pretty amazing groups in the Pittsburgh area, and
Right.
and they didn't go unnoticed by guys like me. So, but anyway, I segued from rock journalism to the paranormal, and that was just the craziest story of my life. I didn't go looking for the paranormal, but it sort of found me. It stalked me and found me and hit me on the head, and so here I am. I've been in this uh, in this genre for the last 9 years.
Uh-huh.
Uh, my book, the Shepton Mythology, came out in 2016. So that opened up the doors to the paranormal for me, completely by surprise, completely unexpected. I didn't go looking for it. Again, I didn't go looking for the paranormal, but it found me. And so
That's
explained
and
that.
that's how that works there, Max. I have a couple people here. Mr. Wojo says, "Nice hat, thank you, sir." Hey, Mark Eddie, good to see you. Welcome. Mr. Wojo says, "Congrats, Max."
Oh, thank
And
you.
that's my buddy Cindy Mitch. She's in. Hi, Cindy. And Michael Anthony says he's friends with all them people that the groups that you were talking
Oh,
about.
cool. Okay. Okay. Michael
You
was
know,
probably lead singer for one of those groups.
I'm sure he was, man. He's got a voice. And
Okay.
Michelle said, yes, it found me too. That's what
Oh,
Michelle
good.
said. The
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
paranormal found her too.
Yeah.
But here's in your own words, can you explain the difference between science and the supernatural?
Well, I don't know if I could. I don't know if there is a difference. I think that the supernatural, the paranormal is the same as the scientific. And that was told to me by Dr. Frederick Santee. Dr. Santee was a white witch. He was the high priest for the Coven of the Kata in Walpollepin, Pennsylvania. And I interviewed Dr. Santee numerous times. He was a genius. He was, the youngest person to graduate from Harvard. He hung out with people like Bertram Russell and Sybil Leek and Aleister Crowley. I mean, everybody. And he was just an amazing individual. But Dr. Santee told me that he didn't think there was any difference between the supernatural and the scientific. And the way that works is this. I explain it like this. Like you see an apple drop, in the scientific realm, it's all cause and effect. So what we see, the effect is the apple is dropping, but we know that it's dropping because of Newton's law of gravity. So there's
Right.
cause and effect. That's an easy one. But when people see orbs in the sky, or they see cryptid creatures walking across the woods, or see, crafts that land and stop their car, things like that, that's something else. We don't know. We see the effect, but we don't know what the cause is. So it may be a scientific premise that maybe we'll discover at some point. But right now, there's a lot of science that we just don't have and don't know. And I contend that, the scientific community has sort of been a bit lax, because I always talk about the interdimensional theory about Bigfoot and UFOs. And
Right.
that was the
Yeah.
theory proposed by Einstein back in the 1930s. Now, that's something that John Keel and Jacques Vallée and myself have jumped all over. We validate that, we believe in it, but there hasn't been anything else since the 30s. I mean, Einstein's wormhole theory, that there's bridges or wormholes that connect the space-time continuum, and that way people could travel trillions of light years in the snap of a finger. So
Hmm.
that's the theory. Certainly one of the most plausible theories, one of the most, I think, for some of us, not all of us, but for some of us, we
Right.
believe that uh, that cryptids and UFOs are shapeshifters. They're interdimensional travelers, and that's why we
Okay.
see them and then you don't. So, believe it or not.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, and where I see my viewpoint to that is whenever there is a Bigfoot sighting, I automatically go and see what the UFO activity was going on in that
Right.
area that the thing was, and there's usually a ton of UFOs that that are around. So I have no doubt in my mind, and I will take that to my grave
Yeah, yeah,
that the Bigfoot and the UFOs coexist with each other, going into other dimensions and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of us believe that because there's Bigfoot and UFO sightings together, that indicates that there's a paranormal aspect to this. So whatever that is, but certainly in your neck of the woods, in the Chestnut Ridge area, that
Yeah.
100-mile stretch from Pittsburgh down to West Virginia, there have been countless sightings of Bigfoot and UFOs. As a matter of fact, the next issue of Fate magazine, I will have an article about Chestnut Ridge, and I'm hoping that
Okay.
some of your listeners uh, are into Fate magazine, because it's going to be there.
Stoney says we spend too much time expecting answers via the scientific or those in power claiming BS. The population of experiencers have enough evidence to get the answers. And she's got a point there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Think,
Okay.
especially with me in the paranormal, I definitely know ghosts exist. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? There's no doubt about it that demons exist. You know what I mean? And right now, just like you, I'm slowly transforming from the paranormal field over into the cryptid field.
Okay.
Um, so it
And
was also brought to my attention too, and I wanted to get your opinion on this, that some of the cryptids out there, like Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever, were actually made by our government. What do you think?
I was speaking to somebody today who, actually, it was uh, Phyllis Galdi from Fate magazine, and she lives real close to Asheville. Now, if you remember, a couple of months ago, Asheville had flooding of biblical proportions. There were trillions of gallons of water that were coming down those mountains like every hour. I mean, just horrendous. And she thinks that there may be some sort of technology behind this. There may be some kind of either government or black ops or something commandeering
Guarantee
the
it.
weather. And I've heard, such talk before. Again, I don't
I
know.
I have no doubt in my mind, but you know what, Mr. Max? That's for another show because
Yeah, right.
we're getting
Yeah.
slowly but surely. Stoney says we get past the having to find someone with the answers and start trusting ourselves, and that's the truth.
Yeah. And
Squatch man, good to see you, brother.
And with the scientific community, all we're saying is that when we see things, when we see those cryptids or those lights in the sky, the only thing we're asking from the scientific community is validation that
Right.
yes, and that's something that's been a long time coming. And and again, we're still not on the same page, and we're still not, in the same tribe. So, there's a war going on between the scientific elitists and the rest of us, and and
It's
that's
been
very
going on for the last, God, forever. I know in 2006, when I started paranormal investigating, it was always a battle between the scientists and the mystical paranormal people. And it will, and that's one thing that bugged the shit out of me for a long time is that, if we want the answers, let's work together.
right.
I trust what you believe, but please trust what I believe. But
Well, and by that, if I could just jump on that, Sean,
yeah,
it's like if you tell me that you see some pulsating orbs in the sky, you know, I think that what we need to do is be respectful of your experience and not think that you're
exactly,
needy, you're hallucinating, you're whatever, try to make excuses for that. Just accept it for what it is and get more information. Like, when did you see it? What did it look like? Et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we need.
exactly, exactly. Hey, Heidi, she came back on YouTube. Good to see you. Stony says, yep, totally, Maxim. There are those click groups we have to get past as well.
I
LOL.
agree.
And
I
that's
agree.
true. But what makes the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot different from other books about the elusive cryptid, buddy?
Well, a lot of the people that write about Sasquatch, they're into the flesh and blood philosophy. They believe that it exists. It's a flesh and blood creature. And my premise is, if it's not flesh and blood, then what is it? So I take a look at, like I said earlier, the interdimensional theory that Bigfoot may be living in a parallel dimension and visiting us, ship shaping, shaping,
Shape shifting.
shape
Say that
shift.
three
I
times.
can say that, yeah, shape shifting into our universe. Thank you. Yeah, and another one is the Jungian collective unconscious. That perhaps what we're seeing is residue, a DNA residue from our caveman ancestors. That there's a link to that, so that that we're all connected in some genetic way, and so there's a lot of other ways to take a look at it. My book is different because I take a look at it holistically, but I also respect the Sasquatch lookers because I'll tell you this, even though we don't have a body, there's evidence there. For example, there's eyewitness reports, there's sounds, there's smells, there's the footprints, which you cannot ignore, these footprints that are like 14, 15, 16-inch footprints that are bigger than any man or any bear. So we do have evidence, but again, the scientific community refutes that, won't accept the this evidence. So, but I could look at both sides, but I believe that after all these years of looking and we haven't come up with anything, I think that Bigfoot has to be something else other than flesh and blood, and that's
Okay.
the direction I'm going, and that's what my book talks about.
Richard Minnick says slipwalking is what Basher calls it.
Okay.
Heidi goes, years ago, I found a pretty reputable website where you could add your own experience and then such through an online spreadsheet for other people's experiences. Hey, Liz, good to see you. Hey, the Vogel brothers. Hello, everybody. Good to see you guys. Welcome. Welcome. Man, I'm excited. There's a lot of good people in the chat room.
Wow.
There's always good people in my chat room. What am I saying? But so you were talking about, um, in in your book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, you go to lengths to call out Bigfoot and UFO hoaxers. What is it about them that makes you so angry?
Yeah, I think they sold their souls. You know, they sold their souls to the devil. You know, they made a bargain, and
Okay.
they're just looking for their 15 minutes worth of fame. They're looking for notoriety. Maybe some of them, well, definitely some are looking for financial gain. But I think some of these hoaxers are brilliant, ingenious people, but they're playing a game with us. You know, it's catch me if you can, and they leave clues, and almost like not that it's the same thing, but in a sense it is. Jack the Ripper, the Zodiac Killer, the Crop Circle hoaxers, all of those folks, you know, they play this game and they see if we could catch them. But you know, certainly Jack the Ripper did that. I mean, he would have all these clues, and he would write letters to the newspaper. So part of it is a game. You know, how much of this con can I pull off over you and get away with? So that's a big part of it. You know, the in cryptozoology, you know, things like Bigfoot, Loch Ness, you know, the Piltdown Man, you know, that those are notorious hoaxes. Even with ufology, the Roswell autopsy film, and then most recently, the Mexican alien corpses. Jaime Maussan, the Mexican ufologist, in July of 2023, he carted out those corpses in front of the Mexican Congress, claiming that they were aliens. And but what happens, you know, with the scientific? Here's where the scientific community comes in. When you have evidence like that, you need to share it with the scientific community so they could look at it and either validate your proof or invalidate it. And Jaime
Mm-hmm.
Maussan would not go and give up those alien corpses. So certainly there was a major hoax, and he was called out. But I mean, but he wasted everybody's time, and by these hoaxers discredit us people that are into the paranormal. They make us all look like we're, you know, liars and we're quacks and everything else. And it's a discredit. It's a disservice, and I hate them. I mean, they need to be called out, and you know, they don't do anything good for us.
No,
So that,
no, not at all. It's the same way in the paranormal field. But real quick, hello, Donna. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in the chat room. Um, we also got Kason. Hey, what's up, buddy? Liz, hello. Ernie. Hey, Ernie W. There, my boy Ernie. Yeah. Hello, Sean and Maxie. You know Ernie, don't you?
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, Ernie says hello.
Okay.
But you know, with the Bigfoot,
You got him in the house. Wow.
yes, I do. I got all the big boys in the house. But but some Ernie, I'm going to ask you this question, Squatch, if you're still in, dude. Have you in the Vogel brothers? Question is, um, to you guys too. Have you ran into a lot of hoaxsters? Ernie, Mr. Vogel brothers, and Squatchman. Have you ran into any? Squatch says there's too many armchair critics who has never been out searching. And that is true. They watch a couple programs on TV, Finding Bigfoot or whatever, or anything like that with paranormal. I mean, I have my views on the paranormal TV shows out there that they got now, but like
Mhm.
I said, that's for another show.
But
Did you?
we also have a major war going on in the whole field. You know, whether it's
Oh
scientists
yeah,
us or me attacking you or you me or whatever. You know, the flesh and blood guys attacking the wooers. So you know, it never ends. And I'll tell you
nah,
what. I know a lot of these guys personally, and there's a lot of animosity. I mean, there's not a whole lot
There's
of
a
love in
ton
the
of it, man.
community. You know, there's a
There's a
lot of people.
ton of animosity. Stoney
Yeah,
says once they show themselves, it teaches us several things: what to and not to look for or become. Keep it real. Never give them everything. Keep a paper trail. The hoaxers are doing what they've been paid for. Truth.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
listen, real quick on another question. Um, did anyone in the cryptozoology call them out?
Yeah, I think the big one was in Bluff Creek. Ray Wallace probably 1958 was a real big uh, red letter date in cryptozoology and in especially with Bigfoot. But this is when Jerry Crew, and he was on a logging team. He was I guess they call him a wildcatter. But anyway, he discovered these really big tracks there, and the Humboldt Times, and it was in October of 1958 when the Humboldt Times used the word Bigfoot for the first time. So they were talking about these tracks and this cryptid that the loggers saw. But this guy came out, this Ray Wallace, and Ray Wallace claimed that he was making these tracks. That they were. He took credit for that. They wooden tracks, and it was Lauren Coleman who wrote. He says, "Fakery not revealed is a lie that lives on into the future." So it was Lauren Coleman, the famous cryptozoologist, that called out Ray Wallace, because a lot of the media was thinking that these weren't real tracks, that they were just the fake tracks made by Ray Wallace. But people like Lauren Coleman and Jeff Meldrum would show the actual Bigfoot casts versus Ray Wallace's wooden ones, and you could tell, which appeared to be real and which looked to be really amateurish and fake. So Ray Wallace, as a hoaxer, was able to go and get a lot of media attention, and take our focus off of where it should have been, and just a horrible person in the annals of Bigfootery. But yeah, but Lauren Coleman and Dr. Jeff Meldrum, were two authorities that called him out, and as they should have. There should have been more people doing that, but they called him out. He was a hoaxer, and he so too bad.
But Stoney has it right. Well, Michelle said social media can be brutal with comments. That's true. Stoney says, at the end of the day, do it for yourself. Keep it real and
Yeah.
enjoy the adventure of it. That is so true. Wow, we can communicate and interact with other beings. You hit the nail on the head there, Miss Stoney.
Yep.
Yes, you did.
And
Wow.
again, as we all know, it's not the destination, it's the journey. We don't know where this is going to lead, where it's going to take us. But I mean, look how exciting it is. We meet people. I mean, look, Sean, look at you just tonight, all the people that have checked in. And I mean, what a
Mhm.
wondrous journey, So it's all, that part's all good.
Well, thank you. I mean, all my people have been with me for a long time, and I truly appreciate them. But so before the show, I was going through YouTube and checking out other hoaxers in the Bigfoot community, and I came across this guy who I think is a real winner. Rick Dreyer. What do you know
Oh, yeah.
about him?
Yeah. He claimed, let's see, this was back in 2008. He claimed that he was hiking in the woods of Georgia, and he discovered a frozen Bigfoot. Well, that's all well and good, but then we found out that it was actually a rubber gorilla suit. So that was 2008. And then in 2012, he said he killed an 8-foot Bigfoot, and Dyer took it around on a national tour. He made something like $60,000 on that. It was a fake. They found out that it was manufactured by a company called Twisted Toy Box. So Rick Dyer, he was infamous, as was Ray Wallace. And there are two guys that I write about in The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. I have a chapter on those guys and the hoaxers, and also I have chapters on the Piltdown Man and the Minnesota Iceman, and these are all legendary hoaxes that dwelled within the Bigfoot community, the cryptid community. And,
I
you
was
know,
just going to ask you about the Minnesota Iceman. What's that? That sounds interesting. Can you go on and further explain the Minnesota
yeah,
Iceman?
sure. And when you get my book, read about it too. But there was a showman named Frank Hansen, and Frank said that he found this creature, this Bigfoot-like creature, frozen in this big ice thing, floating off the coast of Siberia. And then he changed the story to that he found it in a ship, frozen in a ship from Japan, and all this other stuff. But anyway, he took that around. But Frank Hansen, the showman, was able to go and con major cryptozoologists like Ivan T. Sanderson and Bernard Helvemans. They thought they had discovered the missing link. They thought that this Minnesota iceman was the connection between ape and man. And so they went out on the limb and talked about that. And here they were totally embarrassed because it was, revealed to be a hoax. Now, Frank Hansen said that he changed the original thing to one that was a rubber suited thing. So that was just a convenient excuse. But the Minnesota Iceman was pretty legendary just because it was able to draw in people that were desperately looking for that missing link, that
Right.
connection, and which I talk about in my book. There's no such thing as the missing link. If anybody's talking about a missing link, they're either ignorant of the facts or they're trying to hoax you. So just run away from that term. Remember, no such thing as the missing link. And I'll debate anybody on that.
Well, I'm sure there'll be people out here that would debate you on that too, my friend.
Oh,
Um,
I'd like to
you
take
know
it.
what? We're going to take about a 70-second break here. I'm going to run some ads from other shows on this platform. So if you have to go out and have a cigarette, go to the bathroom, do what you got to do, please come back and we'll start part two or the second half of the show. So be back soon.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Hi, and thank you all for joining us today. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in North.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second part of the show, Into the Night, with me, your host, Sean Calais. I want to thank you, PRN 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi. And we have my friend, author Maxim Furek. And tonight we were talking about the hoaxers of the Bigfoot community. Max has a book, The Lost Tribe of Bigfoot, and there's a couple chapters in his book that he talks about these hoaxers. And that's where we are at right now. Hoaxers are a bad thing. They're terrible. In fact, there are some in the paranormal community that there's a lot of investigators that don't like them, and like I said, that's for another show. Hold on a second now. We got some people here that have some things that were written. Okay. So we're going to get to you real soon there. Stony says this is communication information for something yet to show itself. Yet your grandmother, LOL. I see a time when we will all get that aha moment. And Michelle says, wow, put that energy in finding the real Bigfoot. That's a lot of work to fake it. And you know what? She's got a point there, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Kaysen says, how about Dr. Stephen Greer's Alcacoma mummy? Never heard of that one. And this is where they talk about, Stoney says, this is where they talk about us. He. Got to watch out for those little ones. But Max, I have a couple more questions here for you, dude.
Okay, Sean.
You know, because I was really, you know, I read the gist of your show, your new book out, okay? The Lost Tribe of Bigfoot. I lost about it. But, and you know, that film, the Patterson Gremlin?
Gimlin, yeah.
Yeah. And so, why do you discuss it a lot in your book?
Well, Patterson-Gimlin film of 1967 is sort of like the Holy Grail. You know, when you look for evidence, that's the one that a lot of people feel is the evidence that Bigfoot exists, you know, that hasn't been able to be refuted. And what happened was, let me see, it was 67. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were going through Northern California, and they were making a documentary. Now, they were in the area where Bigfoot tracks were seen and sightings, and they were going to make a documentary to make money to have a more extensive search for Bigfoot. But as they came around the corner, now Patterson was on his horse, Gimlin was on the horse behind him leading a pack horse. And all of a sudden, they went around the corner, the bend, and there by this riverbed was Patty. It was a female, they called it Patty. It was a female Bigfoot. You could see the breast. And Patty turns around, looks at Patterson, and Patterson's horse bolts. So as he's falling down, he's reaching into a saddlebag, getting the camera that he rented, this Kodak, and he was able to take some pictures. And it wasn't until they developed them, he didn't know what he got. It was only 58 seconds. That's all it was. This Patterson-Gimlin film is 58 seconds of film, and it shows this creature, this Bigfoot creature, Patty, turning around, looking at Patterson, and then turning and going away. And when all of these anthropologists and primatologists like Jeff Meldrum look at it, and Lauren Coleman, they see that it doesn't seem to be a man in a Bigfoot costume, but it seems to be an actual creature. You could see the glute muscles, you could see all the muscles. There's no zippers or lining or anything else. So that was one thing. Many experts believe that this was a valid video, this film, this Patterson-Gimlin film. The thing that happened was the English primatologist John Napier was working at the Smithsonian, and they had a chance to look at this, him and all these scientists. And Napier thought it was a hoax. And the reason he said he thought it was a hoax was because the top of Patty seemed to be ape-like. The bottom seemed to be a hominid, human, a bipedal. And Napier said, well, this can't be accurate. This has to be a hoax. So that was in 1972. In 1974, in Ethiopia, they discovered Lucy, and this is the Australopithecus. It was man's earliest ancestor, and Lucy, named after the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, Lucy actually had a top, an upper part that was ape-like, so that she could go in the trees, have strong muscularity, and then also they walked on 2 feet like a human, like a hominid. So John Napier changed his tune from 1972 saying it was a hoax to 1974 saying, no, there's something here to that Patterson-Gimlin film. So, that seems to be the one that it's been looked at countless times. They've slowed it down. They've, computerized it, digitized it. They've done everything. It seems to be authentic. Again, take your pick. You're either on one side, you either believe or you don't. But I'm a believer. I'm really convinced that, and I've read a lot about this. I think the Patterson film is authentic.
Okay. If you think, Stoney says, if you think someone is a hoaxer, say so. Call them out there and then. If you're the experiencer, you are also a living researcher. Ask the questions you'd expect to be asked. And Heidi wants to know, wasn't that in Oregon or Northern California or Pacific Northwest?
What, the Patterson-Gimlin film?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was in Northern California.
Okay.
Which is the Pacific Northwest, yeah. Yeah, they were. That was pretty close to where they saw the Bluff Creek, Jerry Crow and the Bluff Creek footprints in 1958. So that's what kicked it all. That's what kicked it off for 58, and then 67 was the film. So those are red letter dates. 1958. With the sighting, the prints, and Bigfoot being actually placed in a newspaper and got thousands of results, got letters, people that saw things. And then after Bigfoot, we realized, wait a second, this is nothing new. The native, the coastal tribe people have been talking about Sasquatch for thousands of years. We just never got that message. So Sasquatch has been around for a long, long time. Bigfoot is just sort of like a brand new white man's discovery, as of 58. So, this stuff goes back quite a ways.
Bill Rigby has a question for you, Max. He goes,
hey,
Max,
Bill.
when are you coming back to Pennsylvania to go out and research with me?
Yeah, I want to do that. We're in Florida right now, and we go down there looking for swamp apes. So we go into some woods and some bayous, and we're looking. So
nothing better than that's nothing beats Pennsylvania, brother.
I know. Listen, I'm not going to disagree with you. I agree. Yeah. And I think Bill's going to be at the Bigfoot Expo in Elysburg with me. I believe that's correct.
That's cool.
Is that right? Is that right, Bill?
Heidi remembers watching a documentary on that. Stoney says stages of hybridization, part this and that. Just makes me think about bird, woman, avian hybrid, goat man here in New Zealand. Yeah, Stoney's from New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Bill Rigby, he says supposed to be. But this one's for Heidi. And this is for you, Max. Okay. But because what are your thoughts? And I want your thought, Heidi, on this too, please. What are your thoughts on the 2023 Colorado Bigfoot train video?
Yeah. So there was this married couple, and they were celebrating their anniversary on this train ride in Colorado. And they saw this Bigfoot creature. Now, somebody took a video of it, and some people thought that it was a hoax, and some people thought it was a man in some sort of a ghillie suit, which hunters use so that they could sneak up on the animals. But some people thought it was a hoax. Other people said that this would be really stupid to be going out there in the mountains during, I think it was elk hunting season. So that didn't make sense. But in my book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, I remember I interviewed Ron Murphy, And Ron said something that, it opened up the discussion. I mean, we don't know either way, but it opened up the discussion, and that's what's important in the realm. And
Hmm.
that sounded like a pretty good thing. So we really don't know. He thought, he wasn't sure what it was. Thought the discussion was good. Other people that I talked to thought that it was a hoax, but again, it wasn't conclusive. We had this video as the train was going around the thing, but I'm pretty sure that was 2023, I believe. The
Right.
Yeah, Colorado Bigfoot train video. So again, we've had numerous videos like that. Again, the Patterson Gimlin film, as far as the visuals, as far as the optics, as far as the validation, that's the bomb. That's the one that the Patterson Gimlin film is equivalent to the UFO, the 2004 Tic Tac video that the Navy pilot saw off the coast of San Diego.
Hmm.
Same thing. I mean, the same validity. I mean, that Tic Tac video hovered, did the G forces that a human couldn't withstand, and then it went underwater. And even the Pentagon, who was talking about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, had to change that to unidentified anomalous phenomenon. So
Huh.
here was something that went under the water. So um, I don't know. All I know is that with all the things that we're seeing and recording, Patterson Gimlin from '67 and the Tic Tac video from 2004, I believe are some of the most authentic pieces of evidence that we have in the field.
Okay. Kaysen wants to know, do you think any of the stories from Skinwalker Ranch were hoax?
I don't know. I mean, you know, with things like Roswell and Skinwalker and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, I mean, the folklore gets, bigger and bigger and bigger. And I mean, it gets really hard to separate the truth from the fiction, the hoaxers from the serious citizen scientists. And I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, you don't
Okay.
want my opinion. Do I think some of it's a hoax? Probably some of it is. There's always somebody out there trying to go pull the wool over our eyes, to get their 15 minutes of fame or whatever. And so I would say, yeah, there's probably a certain
Okay.
element of, that's disingenuous there.
Heidi says, I hadn't heard of that. Oh, yes, she does remember. Honestly, it does look kind of fake. And she says, I remember the video being pretty close up. Now, Bill comes back and says that was a hoax. It
What
was
is the Colorado
the train, yeah.
the train? Okay,
It,
yeah, yeah.
it was a tour train, and they said before departure to watch for Bigfoot.
Oh,
Look for the
okay.
Bigfoot.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Heidi says,
they got.
reminded me of the one with the college guys on top of a snowy mountain looking across to another mountain.
Mhm.
And Stoney says, I agree. I feel they both faked.
Okay.
And now we have to be able to identify AI. Ain't that the truth, Max?
Here we go. Yeah,
AI is
it's getting crazier and it's getting harder. And
ridiculous, man. It's going nuts.
And
Uh,
the one thing too about Bigfoot is in our head. It's in our image. We've seen images of Bigfoot on the internet and movies and everything else. So it's almost as though when you go out there looking for something, you kind of already know what you're going to see. So, that's been implanted in our head through the media and technology and AI and everything else. It's just
right,
really difficult to step back and see the forest for the trees or whatever other metaphor you want to use. It's
right.
in this day and age of technology.
Okay, Sebastian says Skinwalker Ranch has a surveillance system called SATAN. I suspect the entire place could be a hoax. And Heidi says AI is what I think when I see half of these type of videos. I agree with you too on that, Miss Heidi. All right, Max, we ran out of time. How can people find you, dude?
Okay, yeah, I have a website, www.maximfurek.com. if you hit me up, I mean, I could offer you some books at a good price, better than Amazon. I urge the listeners to buy your books and do business with people that you know. Jeff Bezos of Amazon does not need your money. He's a billionaire. He doesn't need your money, but I do. So I'm just looking for my next ham sandwich. So, Maxim.
How about any new books here, buddy?
Yeah, I'm working on a thing called Paranormal Apocalypse. Can anybody see that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's going to
cool.
be, I'm working on that right now in Florida. And this is the End Days. And it's pretty cool. And that's a gray as the Grim Reaper. So,
oh, wow, that's cool.
Is this how it ends? So, it has some really, really juicy stuff there. I think this is going to be a great book.
Oh, you'll be on the show to talk about it. But Max,
thank
you again for being on tonight. And children, if you can, please go to your parents, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. And if you have no parents, and if you have no children, find somebody and give them a hug and tell them that you love them. Because those 3 words, I love you, go a long way. Have a very safe Thanksgiving. I hope you eat a lot of food and watch a lot of football. But have a safe Thanksgiving too. And we all can be grateful for one thing. I'm grateful for everybody in here. But listen, it was a great show. Thank you again, Max. On that note, goodbye and good night, everybody. And I will see you Sunday night.